All right, let's do a quick check. I think we've got our sound sorted out here. Thank you for your patience. Hey, Jim, thank you. AD, I see the mic wasn't broadcasting. D, let me know if that's working better for you now. I'm getting my audio pinging okay. It looks like we might be in business. So if that's working, let me know that. And we should be good to go. Thank you for letting me know. All right. The more we depend on technology, right, the more we got to know what we're doing with it. So thank you for your patience. Hey, Jerry. All right. It's working for everybody. Live events. That's a great thing about these YouTube live sessions. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in the markets. Anything can happen from a technology standpoint. So thank you for letting me know. Hey, Michael. Looks like it's working for you there as well. All right. Good. We are back in business. Or I should say, we are in business for the first time since our microphone is working. For those of you that are in the room that didn't get a chance to hear me before because it wasn't working before, I was saying that we're going to talk about how to use AI to find your next stock pick. The room is starting to fill with people now at this point, so thank you for being here. If you've been in the room and you can hear me and everything is working, always an honor to educate and provide as much information as possible related to the financial markets. If we can empower one trader to do better in the markets with AI, then that is a good thing. We're going to dive into the VantagePoint AI software, walk through the details. But before I do that, let's just make sure we are on the same page because we are talking about trading today, and trading involves risk. You shouldn't be trading with money that you can't afford to lose because trading is hard, right? We know that that's the case. So you got to have good money management in place. Capital preservation is key. It's important because there is no perfect solution. I may share some user experiences with you, and if I do, just understand that I haven't verified their results, and their results may be atypical. I'm not saying you're going to perform just like them. And I'll spend all of our time right now in the VantagePoint software in the simulated environment walking through the details. This is designed to be training. I'm not providing trading advice, but I love giving you as much of the knowledge and expertise as I can. Hey, Rogelio, looks like it should be working now. Looks like it's fixed. So, hey, Tim, glad you're here. So, let's talk about finding that next stock pick. That's one of the things that every trader that I talk to is always looking to do better, right? Know what's expected to trend and when. We're looking at the screen right now, and you should see up here in the screen DraftKings. DraftKings is a stock that's been trending for quite some time. It had a very, very powerful forecast. As a matter of fact, if we go back to 329, 330, you can see where that powerful forecast happened. Now, I realize we have some people here that haven't seen the VantagePoint software before and what the artificial intelligence is doing. So I want to take a few minutes and just kind of break down how these opportunities are identified and what the artificial intelligence is doing. At the end of the day, if you think about what you're trading, how you're trading, and whether it's Forex or futures or stocks, stock options, ETFs, doesn't matter. You're trading in an economy that is connected globally. And that's where the artificial intelligence that I'm talking about here in the VantagePoint software really, really excels. In this move for DraftKings, what I'm saying here is that from the artificial intelligence, from the point that it indicated bullishness in DraftKings to yesterday's close, that's a potential gain here of 33% in 37 trading days, right? We're talking about hypothetically over $3,000 in profits. Now, what I'm saying here is the artificial intelligence is able to identify when trends like this are expected to start. And that's one of the great things that are key to what the AI is doing is that it's finding markets like this, stocks, other assets, right? It's finding securities that are expected to start trending up over the next couple of days. It's able to forecast those trends. Before we dig into understanding how to use it to find your next stock pick, I'd like everybody to just learn about what it's doing behind the scenes because it's very, very powerful and it's doing a level of analysis that is humanly impossible. For instance, for DraftKings, let me show you something. I'm going to go into the details right here, and you can see all I did was bring up a detail screen that says Intermarkets. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because if you want to use artificial intelligence to forecast trends and find your next stock pick for you, I'd like for you to understand how it's going to do that, right? How it's going to get to that information and how it's going to provide you with what you need to find stocks that are expected to trend. Heck, any asset for that matter that's expected to trend. Right in the middle of the screen, you can see it says DraftKings right here. And this won't take very long, but I think it's good to have the background. What the AI is doing is it's analyzing all of the markets around the world. It's looking at over 10,000 markets, millions and millions of data points. And it's trying to figure out what is influence. I shouldn't say trying because it is. This is patented, by the way. This intermarket analysis is figured out what is influencing DraftKings from a stock standpoint. DraftKings is a stock. It's tradable on the stock market. And we know that the performance of that stock, that share price, doesn't just move up or down based on what happens at or within DraftKings, right? Aside from some of the fundamentals like earnings, aside from some of the fundamentals like trader sentiment, professional sentiment, there are things that are influencing the share price day in and day out. For instance, look at this list. Apple. Apple has been found to influence and drive DraftKings. And I don't mean found like I found it. What I'm saying is the AI has analyzed data points like the open, the high, the low, the close, the volume, open interest. Has analyzed all of these data points to figure out before DraftKings makes a move, what happens, what stocks, what securities, what markets drive that move. That's what I love about this software, is that it's doing a level of analysis that I just can't do. PBF Energy, there's another stock that's influencing DraftKings. We can go through these and see some stocks, some markets like ARK Innovation as an ETF influencing the share price of DraftKings, or Penn National Gaming, right? Penn is in the same sector. It's a related market, a competitor even. I'm showing you this so that you can see that what the AI has figured out is that there are stocks in the same sector. There are stocks that are not in the same sector. There are markets that are influencing DraftKings to push the share price up or down. Yes, Jerry. Yep, some of the AI does use some of the regression analysis, right? But the key here is that this is deep machine learning. So it's not just going to find, using the deep machine learning, it's not just going to find the markets that make sense. It's also going to find the markets, the hidden markets, like Japanese yen. Not many people are probably looking at the Japanese yen or the euro to figure out how it's influencing DraftKings, or that it is even influencing DraftKings, or copper. Who would connect copper to DraftKings? I wouldn't. Maybe you would. I don't know. The AI is. The AI is, and that's one of the things that is key. You got to understand that there are markets out there that can influence the stock that you're trading. Heck, the futures market you're trading. Any of the things that you're trading can be influenced by other markets around the world because we are trading in a global economy. So I wanted to start here today just so that everybody here in the room can get a sense of the power that artificial intelligence has. Now understand, to find your next stock pick, you don't have to look at this, right? You don't have to look at this or use this in any way, shape, or form. But I thought it would be a good idea to get everybody on the same page as we go through utilizing the AI to understand how you can find better opportunities that give you a better chance of being more successful. Nothing is perfect. But the fact that the artificial intelligence is able to do this level of analysis, let's be real. I've said this before and I'll say this again. There are a ton of companies out there that are bringing AI to what they do from a day-to-day standpoint. They bring AI into their business, or either from an analysis standpoint or from a product standpoint. And a lot of those companies, unfortunately, are bringing in AI to do something that is convenient for humans to do. You know what I mean? They're using AI to do analysis on something that a person can do. It's just faster with AI. That is not what we're talking about here. The artificial intelligence that I'm talking about here to look at DraftKings is doing something that is humanly impossible, because not only has it figured out that these markets can influence the share price of DraftKings, but the AI has figured out that it can push the DraftKings up, sideways, or down. And each one of these markets is weighted by degree of impact. So now we're talking about doing a level of analysis on millions and millions of data points that is virtually humanly impossible, I like to say, but it's also doing it in a way that can turn it into actionable, usable data. I do see some questions in the questions box in the chat, and let me just make sure I get those answered. Bitcoin, yeah, the AI analysis does forecast for Bitcoin. Yep. The forecasts on these markets that I'm talking about have an accuracy up to 87.4%, meaning when the AI has done this level of analysis, and Michael, I'm answering your question specifically, when the AI has done this analysis, it's doing that kind of analysis to give you an accurate forecast. Now remember, you can flip a coin and get 50-50. So 50% accuracy is possible by flipping a coin. We're talking about much higher accuracy than that. I don't care if it's 70%, 75%, 80%, 72.5%. We're talking about stacking the odds in your favor, and that's really the key here. Then we've got to apply it to find those stock picks. Find those stock picks, because remember, when you take a second and realize that there's a way to identify trend reversals, and that way can utilize artificial intelligence. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. If that way can find you opportunities that have an accuracy at 80% or around 80%, do you think that's something that can help you? And you can make that decision based on our conversation today. And if you are using the analysis, for instance, Jim, if you are using VantagePoint, I know you have the VantagePoint software, and that's what's great about this is that there is a way to apply that information to the markets so that you can walk away from your analysis with a more comprehensive view, right? And that's really the key here, is that there's a lot of information out there for a stock you might want to trade. But is that information really analyzing those global markets? Is it giving you a comprehensive view? Is it giving you information to help you make a more confident decision? And I think you'll see here today, whether you have the software or not already, that that's the case. So right here on 330, back to DraftKings, if we look at this, we can see that there was a powerful forecast. And we can see now that that forecast was extremely valuable. We talked about that. It's over 30% gains since 330. It's May 23rd. And you can see this is the May 23rd forecast. It came out on 5/22 at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So taking a step back, everybody should understand that it's looking at the data right now. This chart is looking from 2/23 to 5/23, so it's looking at 3 months of data. The forecast that I would be using to find these stock picks or find what's expected to happen comes out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time in the evening. So anybody utilizing this had this information that we're looking at right now at 6:30 last night, had this information available to them so that they could use it to make some decisions about their trades today, because that's really the key, is having the information that you need to make a decision before it's time to make the decision. And in my opinion, if I'm prepared and I'm ready when that market opens to make some decisions or getting into that market with some more comprehensive information, then that's a valuable place to be. So in this case, at 6:30 last night, the artificial intelligence was indicating more bullishness expected. How do I know that? Because the blue line is above the black line. So how do I use this? What is the blue line, and how does it find opportunities to pick? Well, let's talk about it. All right. The blue line, that's a predicted moving average. I'm just going to write PMA on the screen. I guess I don't have to write on the screen. You guys can hear me okay. Predicted moving average means that it is a moving average that has been enhanced with the artificial intelligence. Now, I know there's a lot of people here that have never seen that before, but let me tell you the difference is that this blue line that we're talking about is like a simple moving average, except the intermarket analysis has been done for, in this case, DraftKings. Those global markets have been analyzed that we just looked at. And then predictive information has been added to the formula of a moving average. Predictive information that was generated from the AI. And in case you're wondering, people always ask, is this something that is available? It is available. Traders have been using this since 1991. You can use this, obviously it's something that people have access to already. There's people here listening that have this technology and use this technology day in and day out. And if you're not one of them, you can always check out VantagePointForecast.com to ask more questions. But the key here is that there is predictive information in this blue line that was generated from the AI. So all I have to do to know what opportunity is expected to move when is analyze first that blue line. And if that blue line is above the gray line and the shaded area is green, well, then I know the AI is forecasting that this trend is expected to continue moving higher. That's the beginning of what I need. That's the first indicator I'm going to look at, right? That's the first thing that I'm going to dig into. And why? Because that is about a trend predictor. Now, the other information I have on this is one of the very powerful indicators called the predicted neural index. This is about strength in price. And it's very easy to interpret. When it's red, it's saying bearishness. When it's green, it's saying bullishness in price over the next couple of days. Well, when these two agree, that's very powerful. And then we have some momentum indicators down here as well. I can dig into the details. I'm not going to right now. If you want to dig into the details on the momentum indicators or anything I'm talking about, like I say, go to VantagePointForecast.com and I'll be happy to answer your questions individually. But when you look at this, these three lines are pointing higher, right? So what I've been able to determine from this information for DraftKings is that the trend is expected to continue higher. There is strength in price, and it has building momentum over the next 1 to 3 days. So if we take a step back and think about that, what that means is that we can expect DraftKings to move higher. VantagePoint is also forecasting the high and the low for DraftKings for today, for the trade day. Remember, I had this at 6:30 p.m. last night. And what it's saying is that even though the trend is expected to move higher, we are expecting lower highs because this edge is shaded red and potentially lower lows today for this stock. Another way to interpret that, the way I like to look at it, is I can expect DraftKings to trade within the prices of this gray bar here, right? If that's the case, what I would expect at 6:30 last night is that DraftKings would trade between, and if I put my cursor on this, you can see right here in the left corner, there's a little legend, 2607 and 2450. That's where I would expect DraftKings to trade within today because that's what the AI indicated last night. And if you go look at DraftKings, you would see that it's trading within that range. And that's one of the great things about the artificial intelligence is it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be down to the penny. It's not going to be exact every single time. But what it is going to do is help you stack the odds in your favor and give you information you can utilize to apply to your trade plan. And that's one thing I don't want anybody to forget when we're talking about utilizing information like this is that the AI in this case isn't telling me what to do. It's helping me find an opportunity that's expected to trend one way or the other. Bullish, bearish, consolidated. There are 3 directions to the market. And then I can apply that information to a trade plan to make the trade decision. So in this case, DraftKings' bullish trend that has been going is continued and supported with the AI forecast from last night, which means I would expect DraftKings to be higher today, and I would expect it to trade between 2607 and 2450. And if it's not doing that, if for some reason it's trading below that, if something unexpected happened and the AI couldn't forecast that unexpected activity, well, then I've got a level that I can utilize to say, you know what, if it drops below that, fine, take my trade off, take my profits, have some good risk management in place that says if something unexpected happens, because this isn't perfect, I can take out a profit. If it trades below that predicted low, wherever your trade plan says a good stop loss or a good exit would be, that's up to you. But if it trades below that predicted low, you now have information from the AI giving you a heads up that if it goes below this, you got to think about risk mitigation, right? And do something to reduce the losses, reduce the risk in some way, shape, or form. So in this situation, we've got a very valuable trend in DraftKings. But how How do you find very valuable trends like this in DraftKings? Or what about this one? Acadia Pharmaceuticals. Look at this one. This is also 3 months, right? And you can see that there is the blue line or the shaded green area is strong and got wider here, right? This is an example of where the artificial intelligence at 6:30 last night was saying for Acadia, there's bullishness in price, there's bullishness in trend, there's bullishness in momentum. The predicted high is expected to be higher, the predicted low is expected to be higher, right? This is where the AI at 6:30 last night was saying bullishness about Acadia today expected right here on this chart. Well, this forecast came out back here, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. You can see where it changed from red to green. And that's where I want to focus our conversation today, because it would be great, and maybe some of you on this call were able to take advantage of a trend like this. It would be great to find trends like this on a consistent basis, I know. 35%, 30%, 36% in this example, right? How do you do it? Well, we talked about the AI. We talked about using the AI to do that level of analysis, on those global connections. We talked about the fact that it can then forecast trends. And everything I'm showing you right now is patented technology that's been available for traders since '91. So the question is, how do I use it to find those opportunities? And that's where I want to spend my time. But let me take a look really quickly. Jim, 2503, which, Jim, I assume you're giving me the share price. Which one? They're both around 25 bucks, maybe DraftKings or Acadia. I guess I could go look and take a look and see. DraftKings, 2503. Okay, 2503. So DraftKings is trading right there, you're saying? Got it. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Right within that gray bar, again, it's doing what VantagePoint expected it to do. And then when we look at Acadia, we can see that Acadia has, very bullish expectation on it and a strong bullish forecast. But back to answering the question. How do you use it to pick these? Well, this is where the software had a very bullish reversal expected. Why? Because the blue line crossed above, the neural index was green. We can go into the details on that if you want to, but I want to highlight something really quickly for you right before it. In the chat box, do me a favor. I highlighted, I guess I circled it with a marker. Why is this activity, this chart activity, this market profile, this price movement important to this? Give me your best guess. Maybe you know the answer. But this is one of the key things that I want to focus and just dig into right now a little bit. Let me see if there's anything in the chat box I need to answer here. A couple of examples. Yeah. Yep, we can certainly dig into that banana. I'm just looking at the chat box to see if there's any answers around to why this section right here on Acadia is important. Why would this section right here provide me any valuable information around this part of the chart? Or better yet, this forecast? And you could guess, obviously this is an educational environment. I'm not providing trading advice and I don't judge. This is a judgment-free zone. We're all here to learn. Well, I'll tell you the answer. This is a very sustained downtrend, right? This is a sustained downtrend, right? Which means that we've got a couple of moves on this chart that identify very clearly that there is a downtrend that was forecasted back here, but there is a downtrend that's creating a scenario that could indicate some bullishness. Some traders will look at this and say, oh, there's a double bottom. I see that somebody is saying that there is a reverse head and shoulders. A lot of technical analysis based on past price is going to happen if you don't have the predictive information from the artificial intelligence. But when you take a second and see that, there you go, banana, an upswing that happens after a substantial downtrend, trend, not 2 days, not 3 days, but when you have a substantial downtrend that is then building momentum prior to the ending of that downtrend. Here's an example. We've got a downtrend happening, forecasted with the AI trending down, and we also have our momentum indicators building higher lows before that reversal point. Understanding how valuable predictive momentum can be when a trend is about to change changes the game in picking opportunities. Changes the game in understanding when a trend is expected to reverse. Look, and I'm going to go back to DraftKings. I'm going to show you the same exact thing. Here is a sustained downtrend in DraftKings. It was forecasted, but you can see the momentum indicators started creating higher lows prior to that reversal. That's predicted momentum. We even had a change in strength. Yes, there's divergence between price and predicted momentum. That's the benefit in using predictive momentum, is that when you get an early divergence like that, the trend reversal is more apparent. The trend reversal is a higher probability, and when the AI is forecasting the markets based off of that kind of movement, you put yourself in what I like to call, and you've probably heard me say this, the catbird seat. You put yourself in a position to profit. You put yourself in a spot where you can really maximize some major trends, right? Here's a good example. Look, Schlumberger, right? Schlumberger. Just take a look at Schlumberger right now on the chart. Just a quick look at it so that you can see there's some substantial trends going on. Here's a nice bearish trend, but the reason I made this top part smaller and this bottom part bigger is because I want to highlight for you the momentum reverses. This is predicted momentum, meaning the artificial intelligence has used those intermarkets to figure out what's expected to happen from a momentum standpoint over the next 1, 2, and 3 days. All right, these lines are broken out into short, medium, and long term. This is a plus 1 day forecast of momentum. The medium term is a plus 2 day forecast of momentum, and the long term is a plus 3 day forecast of momentum. And for anybody that likes to utilize momentum and depends on momentum, that's a telltale sign that things are expected to shift when predicted momentum is shifted already. Now, I want to highlight, let me see, I got a question on the table, confirm the breakout first. Yeah, we have to confirm things, and that's the system, the process that we're walking through right now. But I wanted to highlight for everybody, how do you understand when that pick could be a higher probability pick? Well, you can see that momentum was building prior to the trend reversal. I'm not talking about holding positions. Great comment. Somebody is in as Google users. I'm not talking about holding positions. I'm talking about picking opportunities, right? Here's what I mean. When you're looking for a new opportunity to jump into, a new stock, a new Forex pair, a new futures market, a new asset to trade, there is a process for identifying that is the right time. That process will be slightly different for being in position and analyzing that this is a position I can continue holding. Should be breaking, in my opinion, breaking apart our trades into different sections, different processes, right? There is an entry process where you stack indicators and use indicators in a certain way looking for a potential entry. There's a position management analysis. That position management analysis says, okay, if I'm in position, here's my risk tolerances, and here's what I'm looking for from an indicator standpoint, right? And then when that position management analysis is done, you may come up with an opportunity to say, you know what, I need to think about an exit. Now I need to look at these things from an exit standpoint to determine what is my exit play, if that is the determination. So what I'm talking about here is using the predicted momentum to strengthen your decisions. For instance, the first indicator that I'm utilizing from an entry standpoint is that predicted crossover. I don't have to have Schlumberger on a watch list either. Here's the latest forecast. I can use this one as well. This came out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night. I can use either one. Let's start with this one, and then we'll talk about the most recent one, because this is a fresh forecast. Yes, this is the very same forecast. If you're not a user of the artificial intelligence already, if you don't have VantagePoint from a software standpoint, you're looking at what VantagePoint users got at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night for today's opportunity, right? So let's talk about what this is. What we're saying here is that the blue line crossed above, right? The shaded area went from red to green, right? And I'm just showing you default, like these are the indicators right out of the box. I turn on VantagePoint, everybody's got access to what we're looking at right here, right? So when I'm looking at this, I can see that it's shaded area went from red to green, indicating bullishness is expected from a trend. I check to see if it's supported with my strength indicator. Both of these are saying bullishness. Now let's talk about the fact that the momentum indicators are pushing higher. Those lines are pointed up going into that day saying bullishness. Now let's go to the next step that we were just reviewing about the fact that I can look and see if when prices were still falling, was momentum increasing? Do I have that divergence? Take a look at the chart. We can see that if I outline the highs and the lows from price, that channel has a negative slope to it. I can do the same thing from a momentum at the same time. I can highlight those highs and lows and see that channel has a positive slope to it, right? And you can see right where it shifted. Things were going down. Here is the shift at the end of that trend. Well, that means that scenario, there you go, Jim. I love it. Jim just put the comment like, oh yeah, with a dollar sign. That scenario, and I assume, Jim, you're answering the question from Jen NG, and I appreciate that. That scenario right here is an ideal setup for a stock that's expected to move, right? And now, when I've got my momentum divergence on, and I guess that's the theme of today's conversation. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. The answer to using artificial intelligence to pick opportunities, number one, is have artificial intelligence. If you don't have it at your disposal, you can't use it. But number two is understand what those predictive indicators are telling you about price. And in this case, what I'm specifically focusing on is predicted momentum. If you've got a divergence in predicted momentum from the current price, that is telling you what is expected to happen. And when everything else lines up, that is a powerful forecast. And in this case, we can see it. We can see it right here. And by the way, even if you're not using artificial intelligence, understanding that as momentum finds new bottoms and creates higher lows at the same time that price has not found a new bottom, that's valuable information. You know, you could forget about the artificial intelligence for a second and just realize if you're not doing that kind of analysis, there's a golden nugget. That's something you can do, you know, anytime you want to, whether or not you're using AI. Now, in this case, it's safe to say that using the artificial intelligence takes it to a whole nother level to get accuracy that high, to get forecasts like this day in and day out, and utilize that predicted momentum instead of, you know, standard momentum type indicators. All right. Let's see. How often is each symbol forecasted? Oh, yeah. So every symbol, banana, every symbol that is available, and there's over 1,200 individual stocks forecasted. You get a forecast every single day for the next up to 3 trading days. So 1, 2, 3 days forecast on 1,200 individual assets. We're just looking, and you can look. I can go back. I can look at a year. I can go back 10 years if I want to. Like I say, I'm using it right out of the box, which is a 3-month chart. But you can adjust and scroll and do all the things you want to do. All right, so back to the chart. We can see that forecast is there. The momentum did its shift early, and everything agreed and lined up. What I was saying earlier, I want to get back to the point. I don't have to look for this scenario and then put it on a watch list. Let me give you another trick, another tool, another idea as you're doing your trading and you're thinking about your analysis. There are certain sets of indicators that can help you understand timing. There are certain sets of indicators that help you understand market conditions. And when you combine those indicators, you end up in a situation where you've got a more comprehensive view and can have more confidence around what's expected to happen. And what we're looking at here on this screen is we're looking at this using timing indicators, like the crossover, the predicted neural index, that predicted moving average and predicted neural index are telling me the time is now because this trend is expected to move over the next few days. The momentum indicators are saying the time is now because this trend is expected to move bullishly over the next few days. And then that little tip that I just gave you about the momentum divergence happening before the timing, that is a market condition reading. And the analogy that I like to use, is the weather, right? If it's raining outside, I know the time is now to use my umbrella, right? It's raining. I can see the rain falling. But if it's not raining, there are some conditions that can help me understand I need to grab my umbrella because I may need it, right? Dark clouds. In Florida, you can smell the rain coming, right? Thunder, lightning, right? There's a lot of things, there's conditions within the weather that I can say, okay, it's likely going to rain this morning, today, this afternoon, whatever the case is, I'm going to grab my umbrella so I am prepared, right? And that's this little tip I gave you about divergent momentum when you're using predicted momentum and price is a condition, Hey, Jen, I see your question. Jen says, will it generate enough income? Oh, okay. Desert Rat said, VantagePoint was the best investment I ever made, 3 years now and smiling a lot. Hey, thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. Glad to hear. I love to hear you smiling too, right? Good. All right, let's keep on rolling through this. I see there's a lot of questions about using it, getting started with it. Don't forget, you can go to VantagePointForecast.com. I want to focus on the analysis and in this session to make sure we're looking at it from a realistic standpoint. All right, so this trend that was forecasted from crossover to crossover, and I'm going to go worst case scenario. I'm going to go from the high of this day to the low of this day and say, you know what? By the way, it's never going to happen that way, the high and the low, right? But you can see that is a very powerful gain. And riding that blue line until that crossover gives you very, very useful information about where this trend is expected to go. Now, what does it tell me about today for Schlumberger, right? Well, let's take and again, we're looking at a fresh forecast. Blue line just crossed above last night on the predicted moving average. The predicted high is expected to be higher. The predicted low is expected to be higher. The predicted neural index is green, indicating bullishness. And the predicted momentum indicators are pointed up going into that day, telling me bullishness. Now, if we want to use what we just talked about today and look for that divergence on Schlumberger to understand whether or not there is price movement expected from a momentum standpoint, do we have? Well, we do have higher lows. Look, I will connect. Let me go get a trend line here, and I'm going to connect to the lows here, right? There you go. I just drew a trend line to connect those lows for you to see that line is sloping higher. And if I go from that line to the end of that line to say, okay, I'm going to go get another trend line, and I'm going to start it on the same exact day, right? And you can see that line is sloping down. That is clear divergence in one of the momentum indicators, but there's divergence in all three. So the AI was saying, hey, momentum is building bullishly. Momentum is building bullishly. The market conditions for bullish opportunity are right. And, oh yeah, the timing is right from the predicted indicators. So this is how you use AI to pick opportunities like that. And that momentum tool or trick or technique where you can see the divergence in momentum happening before the trend reversal is expected is a very, very powerful condition. And you can see what happened there, on a recent forecast on Schlumberger. MetLife, here's another one. We can do some analysis on look, here's a very powerful trend on MetLife right here, a green bullish trend. Well, look what preceded it, a big bearish downtrend. Look where momentum shifted. Look where momentum started shifting on that downtrend. Do you see this? Do you see how that momentum shift started happening prior to this trend reaching exhaustion? That market condition was very clear. Now, again, I want to make sure I'm on the same page here. I'm not putting these on a watch list and watching, waiting for the timing indicators. No, I flip the script, I like to say. Let the timing indicators say, okay, the time is now for this trend expected to be bullish and move higher. And then I can say, all right, well, were the conditions building prior to that forecast? And if the answer to that is yes, meaning the timing is right and the market conditions were working this way already from a predictive indicator standpoint, now I know I've got an opportunity that could be very, very productive. Let's see. Let me see what I can see. Is the indicator corresponding to MACD? Jen, there's a question here about how much the AI software costs. I guess that depends, Michael, on what it is you're doing and how you're trading. You can give us a call, you can go to the site, but if you've got questions on how much this would cost you to utilize, let us know what it is you're trading. We can work with you one-on-one. But I can tell you one thing, it's not free, right? It's not free. Nothing this powerful is free. You get what you pay for when you get free, right? Don't forget that. But number two, this technology has been working now for over 32 years, since 1991. We've put millions and millions and millions of dollars into this technology so that it can do this. So it's a difference maker, that's for sure. What's the other question? MACD. I do have a predicted MACD, Jen. I can actually put a predicted MACD on this chart. Look, this is a momentum indicator as well, right? This is a predicted MACD that has been enhanced with the artificial intelligence. It's a different indicator. It provides one-day prediction, and to read MACD with a one-day prediction, you're looking for this slight crossover. Now, your question is, does it correspond? MACD is a momentum indicator. You will see in a predicted MACD like this, you will see that MACD waning. You will see that difference happening. You will see momentum shifting. You'll see that market condition changing, right? Yes, absolutely. That market condition change is identified with that crossover. Sharon, great question. Sharon's question, is there a way to do an IntelliScan to find the setup where momentum diverging from price? Yes, there is a very powerful scan that you can use, and I'll show it to you. You may already know it. You may already know it, Sharon, because you and I have worked together before, and it is looking for that fresh bullish crossover where the long-term predictive difference and short-term, medium-term differences are set up a certain way. We'll take a look at that here. All right. Can you only use your platform with the software? I'm not sure your question, Reese Cup. You could use whatever platform you want to place your trades. We're not money managers. We're not a broker. What we depend on, what we do, where we put all of our focus is ensuring the artificial intelligence is able to pick these kind of opportunities, find highly accurate forecasts. That's it. We bring you a level of analysis you can't get anywhere else in the world. You can trade it wherever you want, however you want, with whatever broker you want. Hopefully that answers your questions, Reese. Here's the latest forecast on MetLife. Same type of situation, a fresh crossover and a fresh neural index, right? These predictive differences, these momentum indicators are pointing up going into that day. We have the momentum divergence that we were just talking about. We even have a fresh MACD crossover. This is a predicted MACD. I want to make sure everybody understands that. How do I know? This little blue dot tells me powered by AI. That's how I know. The artificial intelligence has enhanced this MACD indicator. You can't find it anywhere else in the world. This is patented technology. And you can see that everything is set up and potential opportunity for MetLife was just set up and forecasted at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night. Now realize price on MetLife is still under, a 50-day moving average. And that's what a lot of traders are using to say, hey, price is moving higher. That's going to happen. the AI is forecasting these reversals ahead of time. And when the AI is forecasting these reversals ahead of time, it can really bring an element to any trader that is looking for quick reversals that are forecasted that have this kind of setup, right? Here's another one, Avis. You know, this is another scenario where we've got prices very clearly going lower, momentum very clearly going higher, a fresh crossover, neural index green, predictive differences green. You can see that happening. Absolutely clear on the screen that that is the case, right? There's another very powerful forecast. Now I want to show you something on this chart. Somebody was asking earlier about show it where it was wrong. Look, here's the crossover, here's the neural index. Look, I'm completely transparent. I have no reason to show you everything is roses, right? Because nothing's perfect. But look, there's the crossover, there's the neural index, there's the predictive differences all pointed up. Let me highlight something for you. This is not a change in momentum. Matter of fact, momentum is in the very same exact spot that it was a week before that, which is why I'm giving you that tool, that trick, that education around picking and using AI to pick better opportunities and pick opportunities that could be successful by layering in the divergence with predictive momentum indicators. No divergence here. The conditions weren't perfectly ripe using that divergence. Doesn't mean that it's not a potential opportunity for a powerful day trade, but it's not the ideal opportunity like we're seeing right here on Avis from 6:30 last night, right? VNO. Look, same scenario, trend going down, fresh crossover, very clear, bullishness expected, nice little pop. Look what was happening with momentum from way back when that trend was still going down. It was diverging already. Well, lo and behold, we have that same condition right here where momentum is already diverging. We can see the short-term momentum way back here started to push higher. The medium term started pushing back, and the long term much later, but still divergence. VNO was forecasted last night to move higher today. So from a stock standpoint, you got to ask yourself, is that valuable? Matter of fact, let me ask you, because that's the point of today's live stream, is to make sure we're on the same page, right? Make sure we're on the same page. Is this kind of analysis helpful? When you're looking at this and you're watching this live stream, go to the chat box right now and tell me if you could use this day in and day out. And if you use this day in and day out, would this be helpful, and is this helpful? That's, I'm always looking to improve our live streams here at VantagePoint, and your feedback is important. So we're looking at real forecasts that are fresh forecasts. No, we do not have a free trial. Thank you for asking the question. I see it. Let's see. I've been following VantagePoint. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Reese. Thank you for following us. I appreciate that. You say you've been following VantagePoint for a while. I know this company knew about AI for a while. Yeah. We've been utilizing artificial intelligence, like you're looking at right here on the screen, in the markets since the late 80s, and we made it available for traders like you in 91. So a while is a right way to describe that, right? Yes, you can see all of our live sessions, and thank you. I have a colleague here and answering any questions that I miss. But yes, you can see any of these live sessions there on our YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, if you're not subscribed to the VantagePoint AI YouTube channel that you got this link from, subscribe. And you can go to the past recordings of live sessions and see all the things that we've had, right? So we got a great reversal forecasted in Vornado Realty Trust, and a very clear forecast that would indicate that VNO is expected to be higher today. Let's go look. Vornado stock. All right. I'm just doing this just so we can get a well, there you go. The open was at 1385. It's up over 6% today to 1455 right now. So let's go back to our chart. VantagePoint had a forecast predicted low of 1327. It opened right within that range, and it says that it is at 1454 right now. So in one day, this stock after this forecast moved substantially, right? In one trading day, that's a substantial move. At a $13 stock, you can see where that is very valuable. We could probably check Avis. We could check all of the ones we want to take a look at. Here's BXP, fresh forecast off of BXP last night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So the question is, how do you find these? We talked about the momentum changes. We talked about the divergence in momentum. There's a scanning feature. Most programs have a scanning feature that you can go in and find opportunities that are expected to start moving. I've created a scan, and I think this goes back to one of the questions we got earlier. Sharon, was that you? I think so. Is there a scan that can find these? Well, the first thing that I do in my scans is I use the 3-day trend forecaster to say, you know what, that 3-day trend forecast still has some bearishness left in it. But the 2-day trend forecast has already indicated a reversal, and so has the 1-day. Because remember, you can get 1, 2, and 3-day forecasts. This is one of the very, very powerful scans to use, where the longer term indicator still has some bearishness left in it, because I'm looking for those freshest reversals, right? And that's one of the things that you can see in this. And VNO is in there, right? There's several different assets in there. And then the other thing is I'm looking at those predictive differences. Here are the predicted momentum indicators that we've been talking about. Here's the neural index. So I have those indicators that we were just looking at on the chart in here saying, you know what? These are the bullishness is there. These momentum indicators are all pointed up saying, now is the time, right? And that's one of the key things. That long term is still going down. So that divergence is in place because these are on up and this is on down. I have it set that way. So it's actually going out and looking for those scenarios that we're talking about, and you can use that to find these opportunities. There's a question about futures markets, which it works very well on futures. Which future, Casey, which future are you interested in? Pop it into the chat box. AQST, I don't think that's a futures market. That might be, are you saying that from a stock standpoint? AQST, is that right? Yeah, AQST is not a stock that is forecasted with the artificial intelligence. Thank you for suggesting it, Casey. Let's talk about that because Jim, INTU, thank you, Jim. Jim is asking for Intuit. And if you do have a ticker that you want to pop into the chat box, pop it in. I'm happy to take a look at it and see what's going on from a live forecast, right? I guess that's one of the benefits of doing these streams, that you've got that information there at your disposal. Let's use it. So if you've got a request, or if you got something you want to take a look at from a ticker, pop it into the chat box. One thing, Jim, we've got some concerns around the market close today. After the market close, we have earnings coming out on Intuit, right? So you've got to be cautious of that. Now, VantagePoint is forecasting bullishness around earnings. We can see that that's happening. That's the case there. But you've got to look at your trade plan. And if your trade plan says, I am willing to hold through earnings, well, then great. If your trade plan says, I do not possess the risk tolerance to hold through earnings, earnings is coming up after the market closed today on this, Jim. So you've got to really question whether or not that's something that you want to utilize. But when you're looking at this, you can see that there was a fresh crossover forecasted a few days ago. There is bullishness. Prices up since then on Intuit. There is certainly bullishness happening and bullishness expected moving forward. And from a trend standpoint or forecast standpoint around earnings, you've got a little bit better bullish, a little bit better than a coin flip with the AI. But we know how hard earnings are to forecast anyway. But VantagePoint is saying even through earnings, there's bullishness here, my friend. So take it how you want. You're welcome. You're welcome, Sharon. ASRT, Assertio Therapeutics, Ira. glad to pop that up for you. There you go. When you look at ASRT, what VantagePoint is saying about this stock is that there was a really great bullish trend forecasted, but that has since reversed. As a matter of fact, what we're seeing here, Ira, is the opposite of what we were talking about from a bullish standpoint. Same scenario, right? Prices were moving higher until the forecast last night. Momentum had already shifted out of ASRT. Back here in this big price move, look at momentum happening. Momentum's like pulling back right away. So we're getting the same exact condition that I was just trading from a bullishness, from a bearishness, and the artificial intelligence is expecting ASRT to be lower today. Were you expecting, let me see who's asking it again, Ira, were you expecting ASRT to be lower today based on your analysis? Because at 6:30 last night, the AI was clear. The AI was clear. Right, and we are looking at the live forecast that any user of this software had available. Yes, are you saying SPX, Chris? You said SXP, SXP, or do you mean SPX? Just clarify for me in the chat box. And Jen, you want to see AMD? AMD's had a very powerful forecast. A lot of traders have been utilizing for quite some time. I know you're not a utilizer. You don't utilize VantagePoint. You don't have the artificial intelligence at your disposal just yet, Jen, from what you were saying. But yeah, absolutely. VantagePoint forecasted a reversal back here at the beginning of May. VantagePoint has also forecasted more bullishness as well in AMD and expecting AMD to be higher today. And that information was available before the market opened, Jen. So hopefully you're looking at this and realizing you can see how that works. Corn, sure, let's take a look at corn. Any certain contract month? Corn ZB, all right. There you go. You can see all the different contract months in here. We'll go to front month. I don't see that you put a contract month in, Casey. But the corn forecast, when you look at the corn forecast, the medium term forecast, you can see things are shifting from a corn standpoint. It's very clear. When you start understanding and interpreting these forecasts, you put yourself in a position to where you could really find opportunities that you're missing before they make that reversal, right? Here is that phenomenon we were talking about with prices changing. Here is the one-day forecast on corn, Casey. Last night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, the blue line crossed above. The neural index was green. The predictive differences were indicating momentum and predicting higher highs, saying corn is expected to be higher today with a one-day trend forecast, a one-day strength indicator, momentum, and you can see it on the screen. You know, I think I walked through those indicators, but yeah, last night corn was forecasted to be higher today. All right, NVDA. Sharon, let me pop that. I feel like from an NVIDIA standpoint, you and I have talked about NVIDIA many times over the years. Sharon, there's bullishness in NVIDIA. Earnings are expected to be out, after the market close so that is the 24th. So that's tomorrow after the market close. So today's data download is going to be an important one for you to take a look at, because VantagePoint from a trend standpoint, it says there's still bullishness left in the trend. It's weakening from a strength, from a strength standpoint. Momentum on the 1 day shifted a few days ago. The 2 day is weakening. So you got a little bit of weakening going into earnings on NVIDIA. This is a great example of where this trend, by the way, this NVIDIA forecast is a really nice bullish one. But this trend that's forecasted and is higher is starting to lose some momentum. Do you trade through earnings? That's your call. But you can see there's already 12% in almost 17 days. That's a very powerful move on NVIDIA by itself. And the great news is that the long-term forecast on NVIDIA has had, a lot of really great bullishness going back for months and months and months. So Tesla, Jen, you threw in Tesla, you threw in AMD, you threw in Amazon. Do me a favor, go to VantagePointForecast.com. And we can reach out to you and hit all of those one-on-one, talk through the details. I think you can see on the screen obviously you can see how powerful this is, because you're throwing a lot of tickers in there. And I think everybody's probably in the same boat where it's like, I guess I should spell Amazon right. It's like, I want I want to have this AI on my side. Can you check the tickers that I'm interested in, right? Can you take a look and see? Because when you see the power in the artificial intelligence, it gets that excitement going. I get it. I get it. Let me see. I'm just looking through. There's Amazon, Jen. You can see there's bullishness on Amazon forecasted back on 5.8. That momentum is shifting. Strength is shifting. We don't have a crossover just yet, but holy cow. This is very clear, clearly saying, hey, Amazon is losing some momentum. The conditions are shifting. It's not saying that the trend has come to an end yet. So how do I use this? We've talked about finding opportunities. We've talked about using the AI to really help you pick better stocks, and we've even looked at futures. Heck, we can go look at the Euro USD. If somebody was asking about a Forex pair, here's probably the most heavily traded Forex pair. Right here, and you can see, look at that big uptrend, fresh reversal on 5.8 to a big downtrend on a euro. So yeah, it works in Forex, it works in crypto, it works in futures. But Jen, to answer your analysis request on Amazon, things are shifting. Doesn't mean that the trend is forecasted to come to an end, and we know that because the blue line hasn't crossed below. But I see a lot of bearishness. The artificial intelligence is saying be on the lookout for bearishness, although the trend isn't expected to reverse. The artificial intelligence is saying you could even expect Amazon to be down here below 113, below 114. You could see it right here on the screen that the AI said at 6:30 last night, if it goes below 114, expect it. Now, if it goes much lower than that, now we've got to think about potential loss mitigation, protection, whatever the case is. Depending on where you grabbed an entry, grabbing an entry back here, at this market open, let's say the market opened here on 5.9 at 105.48. That would be a really great early entry. Well, if you're considering protecting your winner, right, and you've got a forecast that says, yeah, you could see it down below 114, you could use some of the predictive information to set very powerful stop losses. For instance, here's a triple cross, and that could be a good session for our next training. This is a predictive indicator that only has, there's no simple moving average. These are 3 predicted moving averages. That triple cross line, this thick blue line, is at 110.46. If you got an entry at 105 that we were talking about, that's $5 per share gain right here on Amazon. Well, you know that there's lots of room for the market to wiggle before this trend is expected to reverse. The conditions are weakening, but the trend is not expected to reverse yet, and we know that because that medium-term crossover hasn't crossed just yet. Now, if you have a very tight risk plan that says, look, I'm only willing to lose, a little bit here, a little bit there, percentage point here, percentage point there before I take an exit from a stop loss standpoint, that's your trade plan. But now you can have the information to help you identify when those things are set up. Let's see. Let me take a look. Reminder for those. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up on the chat. Sorry, guys. Seems there are 2 companies with the same symbol. Zim Shipping. Zim Shipping. Oh, thanks, Jim. Zim Integrated Shipping Services. I assume that's the one you're talking about, right? Oh, I mean, number one, we had earnings before the open yesterday, right? So, and this is not a powerful forecast. You can see momentum is sideways. This is not one of those stocks you would look at and say, all right, I like the way this thing is going. This looks good. And you've got to ask yourself, would a 58% accuracy rating around earnings be powerful enough? But not in my book. Not in my book. SWI. We're running out of time here, guys. So if you've got a ticker symbol and it's already in, I'll take a look at it. But here's the solar winds forecast. There's actually a very powerful bullish forecast back here, 517. Solar winds is expected to be higher based on what the artificial intelligence is saying today. It's even saying that you could expect a high somewhere up around 950 or higher. The neural index is green. Predictive differences are there. You can see that there was a very powerful forecast that happened, very clear as well, on 518. Zim, who was asking about Zim? Google user, doesn't have your name, but USD JPY. All right. There you go. There's a USD JPY, so we can see what the artificial intelligence is saying here. The forecast for bullishness was back on 515, and you can see that momentum is waning. Hopefully everybody can look at this and realize that nothing is perfect, but wow, if you can grab the euro, excuse me, this is the US dollar JPY, and one lot, a full-size lot, let's say, is about, you know, $2,000, under $2,000, give or take, depending on what kind of leverage you use. You know, that's, again, this is from an educational standpoint, a hypothetical gain, but if it costs you around $2,000 to get into that and the profit is $17.97, that's pretty powerful, right? Wouldn't you agree? Who put in the request for it? Reese, tell me, is that something that you see some benefit in? Laser, Luminar Technologies, all right? Here's a forecast. Fresh bullish crossover here on laser, 516, bullishness expected. The blue line is above, the shaded area is green. Momentum is pushing higher. There is a predicted low that could be 669. So in the 660s are not unexpected, with a potential high of 783. So the question is it trading in the 660s up to 783? If the answer to that is yes, then it's doing exactly what the AI was expecting it to do today. Remember, there's always down days and uptrends, up days and downtrends, and the question is, where is laser today? Bob, where is laser trading? We did Zim shipping. Yeah, we did Zim shipping. Google user, I don't know if you missed it, but we did it. Yep. I'm just looking at the chats. I think I hit all the tickers that are in right now, which is, SPX, okay. That would be the S&P 500, so I can go pull the E-mini S&P. And look, I'll show you guys. I'm going to go right into the market tree here and show you in the indices. There is the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the FTSE. There's a lot of things that can be forecast with the artificial intelligence. And what the artificial intelligence is saying right now from an overall market standpoint is that you'd be expecting the E-mini S&P to trade between 42.19 and 41.88. So it should be trading right within that range. There is bullishness in it. However, that momentum is waning a little bit, so not a whole lot of bullishness. Not as strong as the NASDAQ. You know, if you go look at the NQ, the strength on the NQ is stronger. There's been a very powerful forecast on the NASDAQ that goes back, but you can see that there's forecast very accurately for these markets. By the way, again, just a quick reminder that this is a live stream session, but if you want to catch it on recording, maybe you just logged in, right in the VantagePoint AI YouTube page, there is a link that you can click on for watch the old lives. You can go back and watch this one or any of them. It's been a pleasure helping you today. Hopefully everybody can walk away today's session understanding there are hints about the market conditions when looking at predictive momentum indicators. That predictive momentum indicators will start to shift before price shifts, and identifying that happening at the same time that the forecasts come in for bullishness or bearishness can help you pick those very, very valuable opportunities thanks to the artificial intelligence. I appreciate your time. Thanks for digging in with me and being interactive in the chat. I always love helping where I can, and hopefully I helped at least one person today. So again, thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me give you the view from my vantage point. Have a great day, everybody.